The guide held up his hand and the group stopped walking. On the trail ahead, 30 meters up the slope, a lynx was sitting in the center of the path. Not moving, not watching the hikers, watching the pass. He had led this route 214 times. He had never seen a lynx on this trail. He did not move forward. He did not know why exactly, not yet. But something in the way the animal sat, the direction of its attention, the specific stillness of it, told him that whatever was on the other side of that pass was something worth knowing about before you walked into it. He told his group to stay where they were. He watched the lynx, and he waited. The trail through the Braithern Pass at this section of the Swiss Alps was rated moderate, steep in places, exposed to weather near the top, but well-marked and manageable for fit hikers with proper equipment. Thomas Bachmann had been guiding in this range for 17 years. He had taken this specific route through the pass in spring and autumn, in clear weather and overcast, in early summer when the snow still lay on the high north-facing slopes. He knew the pass the way mountain guides know their routes, not just the path itself but the way the weather moved through it. The pass acted as a channel. When the pressure differential between the valley to the south and the plateau to the north changed, the pass funneled the change. You could stand at the top and feel a weather system arriving on your face before you could see it in the sky. On a bad day, a storm could come over the ridge from the north faster than unprepared hikers could retreat. Thomas was not unprepared. He watched his weather, carried his instruments, made decisions early. His record was 17 years without a serious incident. He kept that record by stopping when something felt wrong, even before he could name what was wrong. The lynx was sitting with its back to the hikers and its face toward the pass. It was a large animal, an adult, he estimated, fully grown, the tufted ears visible against the gray sky. He had seen lynx in this range 3 times in 17 years. They were present in the high terrain, rarely visible, rarely interested in people. They avoided the trails. They did not sit in them. He raised his binoculars. Through the lenses, the lynx's posture was clear. Ears fully upright and angled forward, body weight slightly forward on its front paws. The alertness of an animal attending to something ahead. Not relaxed, not resting, listening. He lowered the binoculars and looked above the pass. The clouds on the far side of the ridge were moving, fast and in the wrong direction, pushing south over the top of the pass instead of moving laterally along the range. In his experience, that specific pattern of cloud movement over a pass meant one thing: a pressure event coming through from the north, fast. He pulled out his weather monitor. Barometric pressure, dropping. Rate of drop, significant. He turned to his group. 6 people, 2 couples in their 40s, 2 younger hikers, all experienced, all properly equipped, all watching him. "We're going to wait here for a few minutes," he said. He said it the way you say things in the mountains when you want people to be calm but you need them to listen, with exactly enough information to explain the pause, and none of the alarm that would make them ask questions he didn't want to answer while he was still calculating. The lynx did not move. They waited. 5 minutes. 10. The clouds above the pass continued to build and accelerate. At the 15-minute mark, Thomas heard it, a low, distant sound from the north face of the ridge. The specific percussive crack that a large snow structure makes in the seconds before it fails. He knew that sound. He had heard it twice before in 17 years, both times from a safe distance. He turned to his group. "We're going back down. Now, steady pace, no running." At the 19-minute mark, as the group was 150 meters below the lynx's position and still moving down, the cornice released. The sound arrived before the sight. A deep, compressive boom that the mountain channeled down through the rock and into the trail under their feet. Thomas told his group to stop, to face the mountain, to hold the rock face if they could reach it. Standard protocol. Keep your footing. Watch above you. They watched the pass. The cornice had been building on the north-facing ridge above the pass for weeks. a deep winter's accumulation of wind-driven snow, overhanging the void on the south side. Cornices were routine in this range. They built up over winter, destabilized in spring and autumn as temperatures shifted and the internal structure of the snow changed, and they released on their own schedule, which was not a schedule anyone could reliably predict. This one released at the worst point of the route, directly above the trail at its highest exposed section, where the path narrowed to pass through the gap between two rock faces. The release sent approximately 4,000 tons of compacted snow and ice down the south-facing couloir. It crossed the trail in 3 seconds. Thomas stood on the lower trail and watched the debris field settle. White, still, enormous. The trail through the pass was under 2 meters of debris for a span of 60 meters. He counted the seconds of silence after the sound stopped. Then he turned to his group. No one spoke. He called mountain rescue on the radio, not for themselves, they were safe and accounted for, but because the trail was now blocked and any other group approaching from the south that day would need to be redirected. The rescue team confirmed the report. A trail crew would assess and mark the hazard. The pass would be closed pending debris clearance. Standard procedure. Thomas filed the incident report that evening at the Valley Guide station. He described the route, the decision to halt, the weather readings, the cornice release. He documented the group's position relative to the debris field at the time of the release. Then he added a notation he had never added to any incident report in 17 years. At approximately 10:40 a.m., approximately 40 minutes before the cornice release, a Eurasian lynx was observed sitting in the center of the trail at a point approximately 30 meters below the pass entrance. The animal was oriented toward the pass and did not move for the duration of the group's halt. It had vacated the trail by the time the decision was made to retreat. The weather monitoring instruments confirmed a pressure event in progress at approximately the same time as the animal observation. He was a meticulous record keeper. He did not speculate in official reports. He also sent a note to a wildlife researcher at a Swiss university who had been studying lynx distribution in the Alpine zone for several years. He described what he had seen, the animal's position, its orientation, the duration of its presence on the trail. He asked if she had any data on lynx behavior in high-pass terrain in advance of weather events. She replied 2 weeks later. Her response was careful and measured, the careful, measured response of a scientist who takes data seriously and avoids claiming more than the data supports. She said that in 2 years of tracking collared lynx in the high alpine zone, she had observed a consistent pattern of behavioral change in the hours before significant weather events. Increased elevation, movement toward exposed ridgelines and passes, and prolonged stationary positioning at high-altitude points. The mechanism was not confirmed. Pressure sensitivity was a plausible hypothesis. Infrasound, the low-frequency acoustic signature of large weather systems, was another. She had been building a dataset. This observation would be a useful addition. Thomas read the email twice. He did not know whether any of this was an explanation for what he had seen. He was not sure that an explanation was what he had needed. He took the route again 3 weeks later, after the debris had cleared and the trail had been reopened. The second of his 2 scheduled autumn groups, people who had been waiting for the pass to reopen, who knew about the incident only in the general way of other hikers aware of a recent closure. He walked the route in the same direction at the same pace with the same pre-departure weather check he always did. Clear pressure, stable readings, no weather system indicated in the 48-hour forecast. A good day for the pass. He walked the section below the lynx's position, the stretch of trail where the animal had been sitting, and he did not slow down. He did not look for it. That was not how 17 years of mountain guiding worked. You did not slow down on clear days because of something that had happened on a different day. But he noticed the section. He noticed the exact point on the trail where he had held up his hand and his group had stopped 3 weeks earlier. He noticed the sky above the pass. Clear today, blue, the ridge clean and sharp against it. He kept walking. The pass was open. The trail through it was repaired. Fresh trail work visible where the debris had been cleared, the path realigned slightly around a section of disturbed ground. Above the route, where the cornice had been, there was now just the ridge. Empty, bare rock, the snow shelf gone. He led his group through the pass without incident, as he had led groups through it on 213 previous occasions. He stopped at the top, as he always did, and turned to let his people see the view south, the valley they had come from, the mountains falling away in ranges, the autumn clarity of a good day in the Alps. He scanned the trail behind them, below the pass. Empty. The rock, the path, the sky. He had told the story to his guide colleagues in the valley. Most of them received it the way experienced mountain people receive unexplained things, with a nod, a silence, and a quiet adjustment to their own practice. Two of them mentioned their own versions, moments in long careers where the terrain or an animal had seemed to communicate something before an instrument had confirmed it. None of them speculated further. Mountain people, as a general rule, did not speculate. They noted what they saw and they made decisions accordingly. Thomas noted what he had seen. He had made a decision accordingly. The decision had kept 6 people out of a debris field. That was the whole of the story he could tell with certainty. The part after that, what the lynx had known or heard or felt through its feet in the rock, crouching at the high point above the pass while a pressure system came over the ridge from the north, that part lived in the space between what was documented and what was understood. He turned from the view and led his group down the south side of the pass. Above them, somewhere in the rock and the thin high forest at the edge of the Alpine zone, a lynx was going about its day. Not waiting, not watching, simply doing what it did, living at altitude, reading the world through senses no instrument had yet been calibrated to measure. The mountain was quiet. The trail ahead was clear.